Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 3, and today we're dealing with the 2017 Jaguar F-Pace S, and this car went on sale in Europe in April 2016 and went on sale in America shortly thereafter. And yeah, this has a lot going for it, quite frankly. It's really rather light. It only weighs 4,015 pounds, which compared to a lot of SUVs on this game is really rather light. Only the Lamborghini Urus, being a concept car, comes close to it, but being a concept car, like I said, it doesn't really count. So yeah, a lot of road going cars that are in this class are a lot heavier, and it weighs that little because in part it's really got a solid body structure going for it. 80% of it's aluminium, and even its tailgate is only made from composites, not usual metal. So yeah, that certainly helps, and it's also got really solid underpinnings as well. It's got a double wishbone front suspension from the F-Type, which if you've ever driven that even on the game or in real life, you know is a really solid handling car. And it's also got its rear suspension is multi-link as well, again helping in terms of handling. And couple that with the fact it's as light as it is, and it's also all-wheel drive, yeah, you've got a probably one of the best handling cars in its class. And yeah, it's also got a solid interior. It's certainly not lacking for space, as you can see, plenty of room in the front and rear. So yeah, and it's also got a really rather sizable boot. Makes plenty of estates look really rather small, quite frankly. But yeah, apart from those plus points, it's yeah, a massive wasted opportunity by Jaguar, quite frankly, because they've got this amazingly light car that handles really well as well for a car in its class, and yet they've only really got to power it a small powered V6. So yeah, it's got a 3 litre supercharged V6 which produces 380 horsepower and 332 pounds-feet of torque, which is woeful, quite frankly. And this isn't just me saying, oh, let's have all the power in the world, but when you compare it to its competitors, that is a lot less. It's the only SUV in this game that has less than 400 horsepower and has less than 400 foot-pounds of torque. Even a Cadillac Escalade has more power than this. And cars that are actually faster than it, because the Escalade isn't, even though it has more power, like the Jeep Grand Cherokee has 90 extra horsepower, the Land Rover Range Rover Supercharged has 130 extra horsepower, the SVR version of that has even more, and yeah, it's just the same story across the board. And yeah, this might be lighter than them, but its lightness doesn't make up for 100 plus horsepower deficit in a lot of the cases. And yeah, as a result, it's also one of the slowest cars in its class, which is a big shame because, like I said, it handles really well. It's got this light body, it's spacious inside, and being a Jaguar, it's got that whole prestige going for it. But yeah, for whatever reason, they've lumped it with a tiny engine with not all that much power. And just to put it in perspective, its 2 litre inline-4 turbocharged version that is also available with this car only has a few extra less pounds-feet of torque. It has 15 less pounds-feet of torque, which kind of shows if they went for a turbocharged V6 over a supercharged V6, they would have had a lot more power going for it. And I don't know why they've chosen a supercharger, because you can't even hear the thing when you drive it. And just to prove that, we're going to take this out onto a circuit and see what it can do. So see you when we get there. Right, here we are. So let's see, show you what this car's got, or what it hasn't got. So yeah, it's even though yeah it doesn't have all that much power, thanks to the fact it doesn't weigh all that much, it kind of is made up for in some regards. 0 to 60, 5.117 seconds, and 0 to 100 in 13.67 seconds, and it will do 160 mile an hour. Which, if it was the only car in its car class, or was, you know, the most powerful in its car class, would be perfectly reasonable, but it's not. Even though that Land Rover Range Rover Supercharged has a hell of a lot more weight, thanks to its extra power it can do 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, and 0 to 100 in a couple of seconds less as well. So yeah, it's less than like every other car out there, and I'm struggling to find out why Jaguar would give us such an underpowered car when it's obviously able to do more than that, because weighing as little as it does, it can easily go around corners really rather well, and with that suspension as well, more than capable of going faster or dealing with more power. It has to be, and yet they've not given it the power it needs to compete. That's just how it goes. And that's not even getting onto the fact that I'm not a big fan of the looks, which, yeah, that's opinion based after all, but I'm still not a fan of the looks anyway. The only reason I could really guess why they've not given it more power is that they'll be competing against themselves, because obviously Jaguar is part of the Land Rover group, and if they gave it more power or a bigger engine with more power, they'll be competing against themselves. And yeah, because obviously Land Rovers are far more popular in terms of SUVs than Jaguars are ever going to be. Obviously this is only newly released, so I'm not quite sure what the sales are yet for it. Land Rover have obviously been hugely successful with the SUV market for forever, and yeah, I doubt they'd want to risk that by putting a competitor right alongside it, because this is also no doubt cheaper, and if it had more power and it was quicker, then why would you buy a Land Rover? Simple as that. So yeah, I just feel like it's filling in a gap in the market, quite frankly, which is a shame, because like I said, it's clearly got solid underpinnings and doesn't weigh all that much, and yeah, just has so much more potential than they've given it credit for. And I think it's merely because they just don't want to compete against themselves, which then begs the question, why bother at all? But yeah, even though it's a disappointing car, it's still a nice enough car to drive, and I'm sure plenty of people will get plenty of enjoyment out of it. But for me, with this car and this game, it's just not really all that good, and certainly not as good as it can be, because as you saw in that Extreme Off-Road Silly Build video, this car can handle a lot more power than it has. Simple as that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.